All right, so now we're going to talk about shading in lips or mouths, whatever you want to call them. So I have 3 different ones on here. Probably not going to do all 3, but I'll probably draw the different shapes of these 2. I'll probably shade in this one. So when, just like eyes and noses, you never want your lips or anything that you draw really to have really heavy outlines. So again, you always start with the shape of something. The shape is going to be the most important thing to get it to look correct. So if I were to draw the shape here of this lip, see how I kind of like get the side of it because I want to try to get it somewhat the same size, but don't forget. All right, and so again, I'm being really light with my willow. Don't want to press like super hard because then it's really hard to get rid of that line later on. And so this one, you know, this person is smiling and they're showing their teeth and it's like, we're going to have teeth in this one, but it's okay. Teeth are kind of just like their own little shapes. And really, what I should have talked about, well, I can now, is your lips, you know, kind of have these round circles. It's kind of like your noses almost, and you kind of put these in. It just kind of depends. Maybe they turn into ovals or whatnot. So it's kind of like you can put them in and curve your line over it. But then, you know, you have to have had drawn your circles correctly. And so pay attention. Is this lip thinner or is this lip thicker? Or are they the same thickness? You know, it just depends on what you're doing. And after you draw your shape, you know, don't feel like you have to get this shape correct, you know, before you start shading in, because things can change as you start shading stuff in. Things move around, go away, come back. And so see how I'm just lightly putting in these lines for the division of my teeth. And see how it curves right here? So you want to make sure you're kind of following those curves. And I don't want to make like really dark lines because, again, that looks kind of creepy. Don't really want that. And I'm going to kind of fill in my corners because it's usually dark over there. Oh, here comes a plane. Probably going to hear that. And then what I like to do, oh, hold on. Okay, so then what I like to do, and it's a trick that I've been using with the eyes and the nose, is I like to come in with my willow here and just kind of shade around it. And when I do that, it kind of meets up with that light outline that I created already. And, you know, yeah, this doesn't have any gray around it, and that's okay. You can add it. It kind of helps just get rid of that outline. And then when it's time to actually shade in our face, you know, we're going to have to shade in all around this. That is, if it has value. So I kind of have my shape. So now I'm going to start shading in my lips. So it's going to be darker over here. So our lips are a 3-dimensional object. They're round, they're voluptuous, they curve. So when I'm using my willow or my charcoal pencils, I want to try to emulate that curve or that roundness of my lip. And then I change directions when I go to the other side of my lips. See how my strokes are really close together? I'm not like making scratchy, crazy lines. And then what you'll do is then you'll like soften it. And even as I'm softening it with my finger, I'm also like curving my finger to reinforce that curve. And then when I do this, you'll see here, probably like, well, it's going to look like she's just filling it in. Or why didn't she just fill it in? But trust me, it makes a difference. So now I go over here. And I'm kind of curving it. And look at how I left this area alone because I know that that's going to be a highlight. So yeah, if I had made the mistake and filled it all in, whatever, then I would use my eraser and see how I'm kind of like pulling it up from the bottom. And then right here, I was pulling it down and kind of like these little itty bitty marks. And then I soften it. And even when I go here, I did pull it down on top of that highlight. That's okay too. I have an eraser. And then up here, my value, it's pretty dark over here. It's kind of coming from the bottom part of the lip area. So I'm gonna like pull it up that way. And again, so my strokes are really small and we're in like really little areas. So you have to be really careful and precise with how you're applying your charcoal. And then my fingers, just add a little bit. Maybe I'll exaggerate that. See how I'm kind of coming, because I don't want to lose my, I don't want to lose my edge or my shape. That's a better word. I don't want to lose the shape of my lips. All right, so that was all in Willow. So now I'm confident and I'm ready to go on to my charcoal pencils. So again, I'm just gonna primarily use my 2B. If you wanna use your 6B that gets things darker, that's fine too, but I'm just gonna use my 2B. So I like to always go from dark values to light values, okay? So I'm gonna start adding in my dark values. So again, I'm gonna go over my Willow and this is a lip, so I'm trying to curve it. I'm trying to reinforce that roundness of my lip. And the thing is, see how I did not come through here and outline my lip? You never want to do that. I don't want to do that. I'm like filling in right now with my pencil. That shape is not looking great. We need to clean that up. And then also, my strokes are not far apart. They're like close together. And then when I came here, I'm kind of just doing little, and I really try to curve that. If you have like a, one of those rolled up piece of papers, like the blending tool or the tortillon type thing, I don't give any of those to anybody. We don't really use them in my class just because most of the time people use them incorrectly. If you have one of those, you can use it because that can also be used to blend instead of your finger, especially because this is like, these are small areas. But you can do all of this with just your fingers or your erasers. So now I'm going to come in and kind of like brighten my highlight. And so as I'm doing that, I'm even kind of like using my eraser in this curved way, or like it's trying to as best as possible. And it's tricky. It's tricky because you're working in this little small area. You can pull some of the lines down, but you don't want it to get too liney because then you don't want your lips to look like they're chapped lips, like really cracked chapped lips. You got to be careful. So this top lip over here is a little bit darker. I'm going to kind of soften that. And again, like always, like I said with the other examples, you always want to be looking back and forth to your reference. That's where you're studying and where you're getting most of your information from. And then maybe this was too big, so maybe now I'm going to come in with my eraser and kind of clean that up. And so then your teeth, if you have teeth in it, that's tricky. You don't want to be like, you don't want to press a really hard line down there. You want to, sometimes all your teeth need is just a little bit of Willow and maybe just a tiny bit of like 2B over it. But they don't need much. It's like barely, just kind of barely going over it. And so now I'm having to use my my kneaded eraser because my pencil top eraser kind of got a little dirty. So I need to come in and kind of clean that up. And don't don't let the teeth stress you out. You know, I'm more concerned with the shading of what's happening on your lips, okay? Because most of you probably won't even have your mouths open when you take your picture, I'm betting, just because you don't want to have to deal with lips. Or I mean, teeth. You got to deal with lips. So then now I'm coming in and I'm working on my highlights or my lighter values to try to. So the thing about the kneaded eraser, what's so nice about it is you can get really small areas and mold it around even better than like your pencil top eraser. Kind of like pulling that, it got a little too light, I feel like. Fix that curve, thin that out a little bit. Like how that is over there, but. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of end there with those lips. So if I were to do, you know, one of these, because that's on that reference sheet, you know, they're funky shape. They're a bit different than what those are. These are like straight on. So again, I'm not going to shade these in. I'm just going to kind of example how to like draw this shape. And if you like, so I'm going to look at how it goes up and then it's down. This is lower than over here. So I'm looking at that shape and how it moves and bends. It's higher. It's like a big mountain. And then, you know, it's like a little noodle essentially. There's like two lines for one lip. You know, it's not just one line. It's a shape. It's its own shape. And then they're kind of snarling. And then where is this underneath that area? And it curves and then it kind of flattens. And then the teeth. The teeth, where are they coming out of the... And so remember, I'm only asking you to do two lips for practice. And then obviously those would never be outlined that drastically, so you always want to kind of lighten it. But then I would start to come in. It's really curvy and round and big. I'm going to curve that one. I said I wasn't going to shade these in, didn't I? So what did I forget to do? I forgot to add this to kind of help me out, like put it somewhere. Give it a little something. And then I would start to come in and curve, pull from that top area. It's like I'm pulling it down a little bit. And now I'm going to bring it down all the way a little bit. This lip, it kind of comes up. Gotta fix that shape there. It's not great. And again, I'm just using my my 2B pencil. I'm not really using my 6B. You can use whichever one you want, but this can kind of grow a little bit more over here. Maybe then I'll take out my highlights a little bit. But anyways, 2 lips. And then after this, we'll have to learn how to put it all together, because first we have to draw it lightly with pencil, and then we'll have to show how to shade all of it in, like your actual whole face, like your cheeks, your forehead. And then I'll probably have to do different demos on like different types of people's hair. So, but it's okay. I love drawing portraits and all this stuff. All right, I'm going to stop it there.